These new coaching hires have brought stability to some blue bloods in college football. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Reefer, Jack the Reefer, and I got another banger video for you guys today. But first off, like, comment, subscribe. Let's be special, baby. Let's be special. So by now, you've all seen the news that Lincoln Riley is ditching Oklahoma, going to USC, the University of Southern California, not the fake one in South Carolina. And Brian Kelly is ditching Notre Dame to go to LSU. Now, the reason that this kind of hurry on the signings is happening is due to the early signing period, December 15th for the early signing. And these schools, LSU and USC, don't want to lose recruits that we're going to sign early with them, and two, are hoping that these coaches joining will help build hype around the program and bring new recruits there that weren't originally going to sign there early, which obviously has worked for USC as they've had some new guys commit, and Nelson, 5-star quarterback, decommitted from Oklahoma and decided to commit to USC. Now, obviously, he's not signing this year, but it just shows you that there's already some push-pull going on in the system to recruit these kids. Now, Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma, he's absolutely gutting Oklahoma. He ditches them. He brings the defensive coordinator, the wide receivers coach, the defensive backs coach, football operations leader, and also the head strength and conditioning coach. And he may bring more too. More may decide to join him. But he's also had multiple recruits decommit from Oklahoma, and some of them have gone to USC, and some of them have kind of reopened their recruiting process. There's guys within the football program from Oklahoma that are deciding to enter the transfer portal, and who knows? It could be the absolute wild west of this transfer portal, and there could be kids like Caleb Williams could decide, oh, you know, I'm just going to transfer, and he can transfer to USC with immediate eligibility. Lincoln Riley could literally pick and choose the best players from that Oklahoma roster, and like, hey, come to Southern California with me. You committed to me. You didn't commit to Oklahoma. You committed to me and my coaches, getting you that NIL money and making you the best player we can and get you to the NFL so you can go make some money. So that's one thing that's going on with Oklahoma. And if I was a coach or trainer that was left behind in Oklahoma right now, I'd be a little concerned, because that means Lincoln didn't want you. And if Lincoln didn't want you, maybe the university, the athletic department may want to think about possibly reassessing your tenure. Which I'm not saying to fire anybody, but I'm just saying that that may happen, because I feel like Lincoln took the best guys that he could with him from Oklahoma to USC. Now, Oklahoma is going to the SEC in a couple years, and obviously I think Lincoln wanted to jump ship and saw the easier path to the college football playoffs in the Pac-12. Better recruits too. There's better recruits in the Southern California and Pac-12 border than there is competing with, you know, Texas, Baylor, and all the other schools for recruits in the Texas-Oklahoma area. I mean, just look at some of these powerhouse schools. I mean, Clemson's quarterback, Southern Cal kid. Georgia's quarterback, JT Daniels, that kind of got replaced with Stetson Bennett, but he started at the beginning, whatever. But JT Daniels, Georgia quarterback, Southern California kid. Bryce Young, Alabama quarterback, Southern California kid. Oklahoma quarterback, Southern California kid. And I mean, there's a bunch of other guys who, not just quarterbacks, that are coming out of Southern California that are leaving Los Angeles. I mean, Bo Collins, wide receiver for Clemson, JT Tuimoloau, I think I just butchered his name, I'm completely sorry, but 5-star defensive lineman, came from Washington to go to Ohio State. So, I mean, the Pac-12 landscape is littered with high-value recruits that are leaving for the Big Ten, ACC, SEC, schools that have a better track record of getting players to the NFL. Which Lincoln Riley has a track record of getting kids to the NFL, and that's what he's really going to use as a tool to help get these kids to commit. I mean, he's already been on a warpath. I mean, apparently he's going to St. John Bosco either today or tomorrow to kind of pitch the school, the new regime, to the kids. And for those of you who don't know, St. John Bosco, absolute powerhouse out in California. DJ Uyunglele went there. Bo Collins went there, and there's many other guys in college football that went there. Also, another interesting fact is I couldn't find the numbers recently, but about 2 years ago, Oklahoma put out an article talking about how they are close to $1 billion in debt as a university. Now, I'm sure all universities have some sort of or a fair amount of debt, but $1 billion, that's a lot of debt. And I doubt they got rid of $1 billion in debt in 2 years. I don't think it happened. It may be higher, maybe less. I don't know what the figure is right now. But either way, Lincoln may have looked at that and kind of seen that Oklahoma wouldn't be able to compete in terms of spending on the football facilities to keep up with the arms race, for constantly keeping the football facilities upgrading and spending money on recruiting. Because, they're penny pinching in Oklahoma right now. They're pretty heavily in debt. So he may decide, I'm going to make a business decision, go to Southern California where there's already great facilities. I don't have to compete in this continuous just arms race where schools are just pumping a crazy amount of money into football, and we're going to see what happens. Now, with Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame, I have a problem with how he left. Because Notre Dame could very well be in the college football playoffs. I don't think they will anymore now that he left, because the committee is going to consider that. They don't have a head coach anymore. And also, the fact that the head coach ditched them, what does that tell you about what he thinks about the team and their ability to win a championship this year? So, they had the opportunity to get in. All it took, if they would have been guaranteed a spot in, I think, if Alabama loses, Oklahoma State loses, Cincinnati loses, if 2 of those 3 things happened, I think they would have been guaranteed a spot in the college football playoffs. Now, I don't know. But that just kind of opens up this can of worms of how we criticize kids for sitting out bowl games. Now we've got coaches leaving programs that are competing for New Year's Six bowls or possibly a spot in the college football championship. That's kind of crazy. What are we getting to? It's just turning into a money grab. What's the integrity here? It's like, this is like telling, Russell Wilson that, oh yeah, the Seahawks are about to make the playoffs, but I'm going to sit out because I want a new contract, or I'm going to sit out because I want to be traded to a different team. But what do you mean? You're about to make the playoffs. That's the whole point of the season, is to make the playoffs to win a championship, and you're about to get there, and you're jumping shit. Now, Kelly obviously is going to LSU, and I think Kelly's going to work out there. Kelly's a bit of a mean guy, I'm not going to lie to you. But, he worked out in Central Michigan. He worked out in Cincinnati. He worked out in Notre Dame. And I think he's going to work out in LSU. It may take a couple years, but Kelly has access to a whole different class of athletes and players than he did at Notre Dame. Because I'll be honest, I love Clemson. But, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, as long as you meet the minimum academic requirements to play football, we will take you. Notre Dame, on the other hand, a school like Notre Dame, Boston College, other, kind of, obviously Harvard, Yale, but, higher academic achieving universities like that, there's a little bit of a higher standard they hold their players to and who they'll let in. So obviously, some kids won't qualify to get into those schools that you would necessarily want to have on your football team. Now, Kelly goes to LSU, where, once again, as long as you meet the minimum requirement to play football, they will take you. So Kelly's going to have a whole new world of recruiting open to him. I think that challenge kind of excites him. It's something he's looking forward to. Is I think he's kind of realized that he may have achieved all that he can achieve at Notre Dame. Because, let's look at Lincoln and Brian Kelly. Both of them have not had success winning national championships or winning the college football playoff system. 2012, I believe it was, Notre Dame played Alabama in the BCS national championship, and Alabama blew out Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame played Clemson in the playoffs, got blown out. Notre Dame played Alabama in the playoffs, got blown out. In Oklahoma, Oklahoma's played Clemson, got blown out. Oklahoma played Georgia. That was a close game, went to overtime, I will admit. But then next year, Oklahoma played Alabama, got blown out. So I think that these coaches just realized that, they want to win a national championship, and maybe they just needed a change of scenery. And different landscape to recruit to achieve that goal. I also think that these schools approach these coaches and offer them an insane amount of money, and it's hard to turn down that money sometimes, especially when these buyout clauses are absolutely insane. Now that's what I get into the stability side of things. So there's some stability brought into these programs now because these coaches are going to be around for 6-7 years at least, because the contract details haven't come out. But let's say we get to year 6 and Brian Kelly's not working out at LSU. Well, that buyout clause is still going to be $40 million, and I don't think LSU is going to want to pay Brian Kelly $40 million just to leave, just so they can go sign a different coach and pay him $120 million. That's just not a good financial decision the university is going to want to make. The same thing goes for USC. It may be $50 million at year 6, a buyout. I don't know what the buyouts are. The contracts haven't come out yet. But either way, there's going to be several years of stability at the programs, and these coaches are going to have an opportunity to build it up. I mean, it's not going to be a one-year job. I mean, USC, I think that job, 2.5 years seems very reasonable to be competing for Pac-12 championships and then trying to compete against the college football playoff championship. LSU, I don't know. They have some good recruits coming in, I will admit, but they also have some good players that are leaving the program too. So it'll be interesting to see how that balances out. But I would, if I had to guess, it's probably going to be about a 2-year deal to possibly 3-year deal for Kelly to really turn that program around, turn the player base over into his players that he's recruiting, the guys that he wants in his system. Now, if we would just kind of reassess this whole early signing period, I think we would see less of these coaches leaving their programs before their season's over. Yes, the regular season's over, but it's the championship season. They're competing for conference titles. They're competing for New Year's Six bowl games. They're competing for college football playoff spots, for national championships. And this early signing period, though, is making schools desperate to hire somebody as quick as they can so they can point to that coach and be like, hey, we got this guy coming in. You should still come to our school and play football for us. And that's kind of what USC and LSU kind of fell into, is they needed somebody to fill these spots, so these recruits on December 15th signed with them. But that's just kind of some food for thought. I'm not quite sure what the right answer for that is, because you need the early signing period so these kids can enroll in January and kind of get spring football under the belt and help them get ready for next fall to be better prepared. So it's kind of it's necessary, but you need some sort of dead period where these colleges can't communicate with other teams' coaches to try to poach them. So what the right answer to that is, I'm not quite sure right. One thing I will say too is it's reported that Marcus Freeman is going to be taking over as the head coach from Notre Dame. That's something I really like. I mean, I listened to Kyle Hamilton's podcast, several other players are on there, and that seemed to be the guy that they were kind of saying, hey, we want him as the next head coach of the University of Notre Dame. But I'm excited for Marcus Freeman. That's all I got for today, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. As always, have a great day. Tell somebody you love them. Deuces.